Okay, my quilty friends, so I'm back. Tonight, I really wanted to start our Quilt As You Go project that we're going to be doing. So the Quilt As You Go is not going to be like a full-on project. It's going to be kind of like a bonus project that I'm going to work on when I'm in between projects, but I am really going to try to commit to working on it one day a week. So what I have done is I don't think you can see it over here, but I have a die cutting machine. I have a QAYG, and a QAYG works almost identical to an AccuQuilt. It's just a different brand. And QAYG doesn't make quilting dies anymore, but I do have several of their dies. One of the dies I have is their 4.5 inch. I have a 4.5 inch die, and I also have a hexie die. And I don't know what I'm going to do with those hexies yet, but I have a little plan. Where are my other ones? Oh, right here they are. Right here they are. And on my QAYG, I also have a layer cake die, 10 by 10. So I've been going through and taking, just when I have a few minutes or when I don't feel like sewing or something like that, I've been going through my batting scraps left over from quilting projects, and I'm cutting them up. And I also used a 12-inch ruler. I have a 12-inch ruler. So I have some 12-inch, some 10-inch, some 6.5 by 6.5. I have a ruler that is 6.5 by 6.5. And then of course the 4.5 by 4.5. And then these are 2-inch hexies. I have an idea for these. I do have an idea for them, but I need a lot more of them before I can, and I'm using narrow, like I might have some really narrow strips. So that's what I'm using to cut these smaller ones out of. So I know that I can use the 4.5 with my 12-inch, and I can also use the 6.5 with my 12-inch. And I'm gonna have some different size blocks. And as far as my 10-inch block, then those are it's just gonna be 10s. So that's what you're going to need. Is you're gonna need a ruler, some scrap batting, and you're gonna need to cut you some squares. We're gonna use this as our foundation. We're not gonna be using paper or fabric or anything like that. We're gonna be using the foundation, use our batting for our foundation. Hold on just a second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. My daughter's she's been working over here at our house because their internet at their house has been messed up. So she's been working here. Okay, so let me set those right there. The other thing that you, of course, are going to need, let me set this on top. And this is not the only bucket I have. This is just the smallest bucket that I have. And we quilters know how this is, how we are. You're also going to need a bucket of scraps, and all different size scraps. So this is going to be kind of like a string piecing kind of thing. There's probably some odd shapes in here. Not all of them are going to be string pieced, but for the most part, I think most of my blocks will be using some string piecing, because that's mostly what I have in here are strips. There's strips in here. And so, and if there's bigger pieces, like this is a bigger piece, I'm gonna set that off to the side, because this can be used, and I can get some background squares out of that. So yeah, I mean, there's strips in here. So this is what you're gonna need. Like I said, this is by no means, I have a big tub right down here that is chock full of scraps. We are going to be doing some scrap busting. We're going to be doing something with this stuff. All right, so let me move you over closer to the sewing machine. I'm going to be using a different machine to record this with. So y'all let me know how you like this setup. Hopefully it works out okay. So we're going to sew a few tonight together, and let me know what you think. And like I said, I already have an idea of how I'm going to put it together into a quilt, or make my quilt sandwich, I should say. All right, guys, give me a few minutes to get you moved over, and let's do some stitching. I haven't stitched in a couple days, and I'm itching to stitch. All right, my quilty friends. Okay, so I have picked out, I am going to move my box of goodies right over here. So I'm just going, like, this piece isn't big enough to cover this square. That's okay. We're going to take and lay this piece down, and we are going to build upon that little piece. I'm going to try not to think too much about this. And there is some fabrics in here that, please don't yell at me or anything, that I probably are going to put in the trash that are just not, I don't want to keep them around. Okay, so now we're going to take and we're going to find a piece. And I do have a bigger table for this machine, and I'm going to have to drag it out. So, and don't worry about a 1/4 inch stitch. We're not going to worry about that. Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump you guys. Don't worry. This is going to be a perfect quilt for a beginner beginner quilter. You can press this back like this. And this is I got the yuckiest scissors possible. Let me grab some better scissors. Y'all know me, not prepared, ever. And then we can trim this little piece off right here. You can kind of fold it back where it's even and snip that off. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not looking for perfection here. So we can fold that back. Let's pick out another piece of something. Ooh, here we go. Here's another little, let's save that one for a bigger area because we're going to need some bigger pieces as this grows, as we work around it, we're going to need some bigger pieces. And you can tear your fabric like right here. It's very satisfying. Y'all can see, making sure you can see. Like put a little snip right there and then just pull it like that. I just wanted to get that selvage off of there. And then I'm going to lay this strip just like that. Just like that. And don't worry about, and I know I keep bumping this, I'm having to stand. Okay. And then I am just going to, it's kind of awkward. I'm going to have to go get my other camera, I think. My other camera thingy. And set it up where y'all have a much better angle and you can hopefully see what you can't see what I'm doing, I don't think. Do I have you zoomed out enough? If I zoom you in, yeah, that zooms you in way too close. Way too close. I'm gonna kind of scoot you. Sorry. I didn't mean to make you drunk. Okay, and we're just kind of finger press that over. And if it hangs off, don't worry about that right now. We're not worried about that right now. Okay, so now I think I am going to take this strip and try not to think. Whoa, it helps if put your press foot down. Try not to think about it. Try just to lay your fabrics down. Stitch them down. Okay. Yeah, it didn't even hardly make a mess back there. So there we go. Oh, I can raise my stitch length up just a little bit. I'm going to fold this back just like that. I'm going to trim it off. Yeah, it's really good to have you a pair of scissors that lay right here beside where you're working. You can iron this. Finger pressing for right now works very well. I think y'all can see a little bit better. Yeah. All right. So I said I'm trying not to think about it. I'm just grabbing. And see, this was something that I had used in another project. Maybe I made it wrong or whatever. I'm going to cut that off of there. And then I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew this down. fold it back. I thought this would work, and I don't think this is going to work too great. I don't know until I try things and see how that cat hair. That's cat hair. All right, so now we just need to fill in this area and then this area here. So let's see if we can find some bigger pieces. And I'm sure I have bigger pieces in this bucket. I do have bigger pieces in this bucket. Again, we're trying not to give this much thought. Okay. And this is a Juki, for y'all who are wondering, TL2000. I love this machine. She is straight stitch only. It's all she does. She doesn't do anything else. It is a fantastic, speedy machine. And no, I don't use her very often. I do not. Okay, so now we need something for right here. And I decided that I wanted to do this project on her because she needs to be used. She doesn't get a lot of use. She's my spare machine, so to speak, but shows a beautiful stitch. Just make it, hopefully I'm not bumping y'all. Okay, and I'm going to do that. Finger press it back, make sure I cover it all of it. Okay, I'm going to move you over to the cutting board, and we are going to trim. Our block is completely quilted, but let me move you over to the cutting board. Be right back. All right, I promise the next time we make this block, I'll have a different setup going on. So I know that this square is cat. How does cat hair get everywhere? But it does. I know that this is my 6.5 by 6.5 inch piece of batting. And I'm sorry, I gotta find my ruler, which is right here. So this little ruler I've had forever and a day, and it's back when I very first started quilting. It's a Fiskars, and it slips when you put it down. So I took some medical tape and just put some medical tape on here, and it does help give it a little grippy grip. So I just like to take my 6.5 inch square, place it on top, and you will get some shrinkage and some warpage. So that's the reason why we are going to use our 6.5 inch square. And we are going to trim our block. Pay attention to where those fingers are at all times when you're using your rotary cutter. And sometimes I think that I make more scraps. I just make more. Just make more. But I am bound and determined. Now I'm going to take this back over to the machine, and I'm going to stitch around the outside edge of this block. This is going to be super simple, super easy, and I'll meet you back over at the sewing machine. Okay, so now I want to stitch around the perimeter of my block. And again, I'm not really worrying about a 1/4 inch seam right here. I'm not. My main goal is just, whoops, and I'm knocking all of that in the floor, is just to secure this fabric down. And will the stitches show on the finished block, on the finished quilt? More than likely, and I'm okay with that. Now, by doing our quilt, you will have to keep your machine clean, which I believe in cleaning the machine anyway. Every 3 bobbins, and I'm just going to stitch off the edge, cut my thread. And then there we go. Our first Quilt As You Go block right there. Wasn't that super simple? And then I'm just going to lay it on my ironing board for the moment. Oh gosh, picked up all this mess that I knocked in the floor. So we could take one of our smaller 4.5-inch blocks, and we could take this strip. Let's see if this one's big enough to fit corner to corner, and it is. So we could lay a strip from corner to corner. And then let's see here, what all do I have down in this bucket? Let's see. And then we can lay this strip on top of it. You just want to make sure that you have some that hangs off either edge. Okay. Finger press. Just like that. Let's sew something here on the other side. Actually, I'm just going to use this right here. And this is a 2.5-inch strip, so it's going to cover probably most of this, if not all of it. And that's okay. I mean, remember to put your foot down. I'm so used to my fancy machine, you know, where it lowers the foot all by itself. Okay. Let's open that up and see. Oh no, we got a little bitty spot right there we need to fill. So will this fill it? Oh, I think it will. So we're going to use this little bitty scrap. Golly, a book fell. Scared the far out of me. Okay. Oh, it covered all but just a tiny ittle bitty bit. Okay, I may have to take that one off. It's not quite big enough. All right, so let's see. Try not to put my arm right in y'all's face. Let's see what I've got here. Let me show. Some of these in this basket right here are pretty good size. I'm just looking, guys. Ooh, let's do this one. Sounds like my dad's here. I've had company all afternoon. Anyway, sounds like somebody's here. Okay, and then let's put, oh yeah, that like that. I am actually going to take this one off. Just pull it off. And let's find one that will actually fit on there.
Knock, knock.
Hey, little brother. All right, so now, that was my brother actually, y'all. He stopped by for a second. So let's sew this on. Let's cut it. Oh yeah, see now we've covered our whole entire square. I'm gonna take this over to the cutting mat. I'm gonna trim around it and I'll be right back. All right, so this is what we ended up with. Look at that. And when we're finished, it is, and the beautiful thing about this is it's already quilted. And I'm not worried, you know, if it's a little, you have this little spot right down here. It's fine, trust me, it's fine. So I'm gonna do the same thing here is I want to sew around the perimeter. I have done a couple of, I've actually already made one quilt quite a while ago using this method. So we're just gonna sew around the perimeter to secure our fabrics. Okay, one more. And then I'm going to iron it. Give me just a second. Let me give it a press, and then we'll take a final look at our blocks. Okay, give me just a second, Pooh Bear. Hot fabric, hot fabric. All right. And then this is a 4.5-inch square. Turned out cute, didn't it? And then this is our 6.5-inch. And this is very, very forgiving, very forgiving. So if you're a beginner quilter, you could take a whole roll of jelly rolls and you could do this exact same process with jelly rolls and make a whole quilt this way. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it here for tonight, and I will meet you back here hopefully next, what is today? Wednesday? Maybe we'll make Wednesdays our Quilt As You Go nights. How about? We'll see about that. We'll see if it all works out. All right, guys, I will meet you back here next Wednesday, hopefully, to work on our Quilt As You Go project. Y'all be safe, and bye for now.